The spirit of innovation is deeply ingrained in America, and Google is helping Americans innovate in ways both big and small. From improving emergency response times to protecting against cyber attacks, local, state, and federal governments are innovating with Google AI. This is a new era of American innovation. Find out more at g.co/American Innovation.
Hello, and welcome to It's a Fandom Thing. I'm your host, Erin Marlowe, and each week I'm joined by a panel of guests to discuss all things fandom and pop culture, primarily from a female perspective. You'll find everything from fanfic to cosplay to Schitt's Creek to Supernatural and everything in between. So put on your favorite piece of fandom merch, set aside that fanfic that you're writing about your OTP, and sit back and enjoy this week's episode. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Pop Culture and Fandom News. I'm your host, Erin Marlowe, and on Friday's episode, we are turning away from birth of characters to death of characters. So we're going to be talking about some of our favorite character deaths, which, on occasion, a character death can actually lead to rebirth or birth, like vampires, stuff like that. I don't know if that'll come up, but hey, that is a different way of being born. You could say.
It's rising like the phoenix.
Yes, exactly. And joining me for that episode and this week's Pop Culture and Fandom News episode is Tiff. Hello, Tiff.
Hi. Hey, hello. I was so sad to miss last week's episode, which I absolutely adored.
Well, I'm very happy to have you back. And I will give you some time on forgot to put it on the outline, but I will give you some time on our Friday episode to go over some of your favorite character intros. I did mention one that I knew Spike was going to be on Tiff's list. So I was like, okay, it's cool. I can mention it and it'll be like mentioning it for both of us. So
got it in one.
I knew. So, but I will give you a chance to do that on Friday's episode.
I'm so happy.
Before we get to that, we are going to get to some pop culture and fandom news. And as a reminder, again, we're changing these episodes up a little bit. So we're just going to, for the first segment, we are going to mention something we're into. It could even be something we're excited about. It could even be something we want to rage about in pop culture or fandom news that's not part of one of our main topics. And then for the second segment, eventually what it'll be is we'll probably be reacting to a trailer, like we're going to watch it and react. Or we're going to react to a bit of casting news. And then the third segment will be like it normally is, some kind of topic. If there's a huge topic that we think we should talk about for longer than like 15 minutes, it'll be broken up into two segments. So that's kind of how it's going from now on. I just wanted to switch things up a little bit. So as always, I welcome feedback on that. If people are like, no, go back to the way it used to be, feel free to let me know. I may listen to that, may not know. Depends on the mood I'm in. No. But, Tiff, what I first want to know is, I don't know if you're going to mention something you're excited about, you're into, you're furious about, whatever it is. What is it in pop culture and fandom?
Honestly, I'm not semi-interested, but mostly irritated. And we talked about this in the Discord. You meant, when the trailer came out for season 5 of Stranger Things. Now, it's not scheduled to drop, until November. And we were just talking about how utterly ridiculous it is that it's been 10 years almost since the show debuted. And this is the 5th season. Think about how ridiculous that is, just absolutely how ludicrous that is. And I think Bex mentioned it too, about it's not like they're doing 23 episodes. It's not like this is a network show where you remember how it used to roll 25, 26 episodes. You got it from September to May. It was like clockwork. These kids are now no longer kids. They're, very much in their early 20s. And it's just ludicrous that it's taken 827 years for this show to be completed. I just don't understand. Eight seasons I could accept. Maybe seven. And that's kind of pushing it. But 5 seasons in 10 years. Make it make sense. So I'm irritated by it. I'm irritated by it because I think, like you said, streaming has really, really utterly destroyed the anticipation for series. I guess you could say, even if you consider it a limited series, if it's limited, then you're going to give us maybe 1 to 2 seasons. If it's something that's supposed to be regular, which I would consider something that's 5 seasons to be a regular series, then put it out there. Don't take a decade to finish it up. That's just silly. It's maddening. Honestly, it really is.
Yeah, I completely and totally agree. It's so weird. It's like it feels like the show kind of lost its steam in a way too, because it's like if it had kept going, if this was like say the 10th season or something, and it probably would have lost its steam anyway, but if it had kept going, it would have still felt like okay, but I'm like okay, I probably need to watch every single episode again because I do not remember a lot. Like I remember certain parts and I remember characters and all of that, but there are certain things I just don't remember, storylines I don't remember, things happening, that kind of stuff. So it's like, should I go and, I don't know, like rewatch it all, although I have all this other stuff? And I will watch it though. I'm not going to pretend I'm not going to watch this because I'm going to watch it. I've watched every single season of the show, so I'm going to watch it. It's just, I'm not excited. I'm not like, woohoo. I'm just like, okay.
And I think timing has everything to do with that.
Yeah.
That our level of enthusiasm is very much tempered by it because I haven't been able to watch this. When did the last season take? I don't remember. Was it?
Yeah, it was a few years ago, I think.
2 or 3 years ago, right? So
yeah.
I don't even have any excitement over it. Like you said, I'm going to finish it. I'm going to definitely finish it. You know, this was for me, the start of this show was a whole kid ago. This was before Darling Daughter came around. Dear Daughter was only like 4 years old, I think. So this is crazy.
Yeah. And I mean, not the same thing, of course, but like Fergie wasn't in our lives then.
Fergie the dog? Was she even Fergie wasn't even a pup. She wasn't even a sparkle in her sire's eye.
Yeah, so it's very frustrating. And a lot of people have said, and maybe we'll have to do some kind of episode on this and how it's kind of changed. But a lot of people blame Stranger Things for the way everything is done now, streaming wise. And I guess that's true. I hadn't even thought of that, but that was like one of the first shows where that happened, where it was like it came out and then it was like all these episodes dropped at once. And then like years later, you'd get the second season. That's such a weird way to do television. And it's changed the way people think about television. Like now people expect that. Like The Bear releases a new season every year. Well, there was in the Reddit, someone was posting like, man, it's so quick for a new season of a show. Isn't this weird? And everybody's like, this is actually the way it's always been done. It's just, we've gotten so used to the other way of doing it that people are just like, no, you have to wait like 5 years for the next season. It's like, no.
You can imagine growing up and having a cliffhanger. Like, let's use Buffy as a cliffhanger, you know, when Buffy does what she does in season 5. And if you don't know, I'm going to say it, and it's not a spoiler because this was years ago. Yes, but Buffy sacrifices herself. Could you imagine if we had to wait 3 years before we find out if Miss Buffy Summers is coming back to save Sunnydale?
No. Yeah, that would have been so bizarre. Or like, you know, all the seasons that have been for Supernatural, like if you had to wait like different cliffhangers, like spoilers, when Dean opens his eyes and he's a demon, or like when Dean goes to hell in the end of season 3, and you had to wait like 5 years to find out. Plus, I think people lose interest. That's the problem, is that people get very excited about a show for a brief moment, a blip in time, because all the episodes drop. And then like everybody forgets about it like a month later because something else is there, something new and shiny. It's like the whole, like a dog with a squirrel, like, oops, squirrel, squirrel. It's that whole mentality of like something new and shiny. And yeah, it's really frustrating.
Very frustrating.
They kill Steve Harrington. Oh my gosh. I'm going to
riot. They're going to riot in these streets. We ride at dawn for Steve. He is a kind and gentle marshmallow.
That's the perfect way to describe him. Still one of the best, we're harping on the show, but still one of the best character arcs I've ever seen in a show. Absolutely. To take a character that I loathed for an entire season, and then him becoming my absolute favorite character in the show by the end of the next season, that's unheard of.
I mean, the growth. Hello.
Yes.
The growth.
Yes, it's amazing. So
I love its character. I do.
Me too. So
my favorite also.
Yeah. So he better not die.
Stranger Things.
Yeah. Okay, well, what I'm into is an infuriating documentary on Amazon Prime, which amazingly I knew this was on. The only reason I knew this was on is because of TikTok, to be honest with you, because Amazon Prime has no idea how to market their shows, no idea their user interface is the worst around in streaming. But it's the second season of Shiny Happy People. I didn't really watch the first season. The first season was about the Duggar family. I didn't really watch it. But this second season, titled A Teenage Holy War, is all about the organization Teen Mania, which was founded by Ron Luce. And this was an organization that started in the 90s. And it's like a youth Christian evangelical organization. And they would have like these concerts with a lot of Christian bands and targeting youth. And then they started doing like missions and stuff. And they would take kids, teenagers during the summer, and they would go on mission trips. And then they ended up starting like this Teen Mania thing where it was also like this year-long like internship where you paid to basically be worked really hard doing stuff. Like they had basically like a call center, and so they were like telemarketers for Jesus. So they were calling people like the teenagers were. They were now 18. And then after Columbine, and this was really interesting because I didn't know this happened. I mean, I knew what they did where they turned one of the murders, and they said she said that she believed in God and then they killed her, which actually is not true. That whole story is not true. But this group latched onto this, especially Ron Luce, and then they changed a lot of what they did, and they turned into like basically like a military camp almost. And it is really scary because I haven't watched the third episode yet, but this is really, really, really relevant to what we are dealing with right now, because this is kind of where it all starts. Like, I guess the next episode is going to be more like they're like, yep, this was basically turned into fascism. So it's like, this is kind of the seeds, and they're trying to get the younger generation so that they can basically take over the government because they're going to start working with the government and all of this. And I didn't know a lot of this, honestly. I mean, I knew about the Heritage Foundation and other things, of course, because of Project 2025 and all of that. But I did not know about Teen Mania. I didn't really know. I mean, I knew there were evangelical groups and that they were targeting young people, and young people were in these groups, but I didn't know this level of it. I don't know if you did, Tiff, but I had no clue.
So that whole pseudo-Christian nationalism, military industrial complex,
Yes.
I mean, honestly, you can roll all of those things into it. And I use pseudo-Christianity because this framework has nothing to do with Christian ideals, with belief in Christ. This is legitimately guns for Jesus, essentially. This is what that is. Now, I'm not saying, and I don't have any problem with people safely having, firearms. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you start to stockpile armament, and that's what they're doing, and they're trying to arm these kids because, the government and all that kind of stuff. And then instead of being the shadowy kind of background, they try to infiltrate into mainstream government and then, spread out from there. It's very, very frightening when you get down to it. It's pervasive and it's a cult. When you get down to it, it's a cult. I'll have to watch that because I'd heard of it briefly, but I hadn't watched it yet. So I know I'm not going to watch season 1 because no, thank you.
Yeah.
But this sounds like very interesting, like up my.
Yeah, it's really interesting because at first I was just tuning in because I'm like, cults and all of that, it's always fascinated me. So I'll always watch those. And so I was just kind of like, oh, I'm just going to watch this. And then as it kept going, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like another layer of what we are dealing with right now and going after teens. And I didn't know how Columbine and that whole lie that happened and how that also affected this group and changed things. Because really it was the leader was like latched onto that and went, oh, this is a way I can really push people. And so it's really, it's really disgusting and a lot of the stuff in there. So really trigger warnings for, religious abuse and abuse of children, really, and abuse of teens and abuse of power. And there's some racism in this too. So that as well. I don't know if there's going to be any kind of sexual abuse because like I said, I haven't finished it yet. I could see that happening because another thing they're talking about is the purity culture in this group was so strong, like so strong. Like you couldn't even you had to have like somebody that was that you were accountable to. So if you even had like a thought about somebody else, you had to tell your accountability person. And then you could be punished for that. Like solitary or so. I don't remember if it was solitary, but something like that, And they're talking to a lot of the ex-members and people who were there and involved and talking about what it was like. So, yeah, it's very, very sad. So, yeah. But once again, that's on Amazon Prime because Amazon Prime has no idea how to market anything. So, if you're looking for something, watch that. Don't watch Countdown. Countdown sucks. My sister and I tried that for our Sunday show a couple of weeks ago, and we laughed through the whole first episode. We laughed so hard. Plus, it is such propaganda. And so we're just like, we can't do this. Can't do it. And sorry, Jensen, can't do it. Your character sucks. So it's like, whatever.
Please get away from the propaganda. Please.
I know. I'm like,
propaganda. Let's not do this. Let's just not, please. It's over. It's done. It's trite. There's so many other interesting stories to tell. Let's move away from this.
Exactly. Especially right now. I mean, even more so. Always, but even more so now. So
exactly.
Yeah. But we did. We just laughed through the whole episode. Anyway. Okay. Well, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we are going to be talking about some good old-fashioned misogynies.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Okay, so, recently there's a new I Know What You Did Last Summer. I saw it because I had a day off and I wanted something completely mindless and that would be stupid, and I knew this would be it. And it was. I wasn't really a fan. I'm not a big fan of the franchise. Freddie Prinze Jr. gave one of the worst performances I've ever seen in a horror movie. I'm sorry, everybody. I think he seems like a really nice guy in real life, okay? And he's been happily married to Sarah Michelle Gellar, who we all love. But Jennifer Love Hewitt, of course, was the big star of the series. And she was, in the 90s, like a 90s girl, one of the cover girls and everything. And now, she is like a little bit older than Tiff and I think, I don't know. And she's had quite a few children.
We're around, she's our generation.
Yeah.
She's right there with us. So,
yeah.
So,
yeah.
right in line with us.
Yeah. And she's had quite a few children. And she was on the red carpet for the premiere of I Know What You Did last summer. And there were videos of her. And she's not a stick figure at all. She looks perfectly healthy, perfectly normal, perfectly fine, still beautiful. No matter what you think of her personally, no matter if you're a fan, she still looks really beautiful. Well, the amount of vitriol from people when they watched this video of her because she was not a size 0 was absolutely vile and disgusting. So just a quick trigger warning here for body shaming and fat phobia and she's not fat at all, but just trigger warning for that. People saying, lay off the hamburgers. She used to be pretty. What happened to her? Stop eating. Stop doing that. Oh my gosh, she needs to work out. All of this stuff. And she is a beautiful woman who just happens to not be a size 0, happens to have some curves. And it's so vile and disgusting to me that we still do this. So I just wanted to bring this up because especially since we're a podcast primarily from the female perspective, and we've dealt with so much of this. And to me, the way she was getting attacked reminded me of the fact that she is from the era in the late 90s, early 2000s, where there was so much body shaming going on and where women had to be a size 0 to matter at all. And so, Tiff, I don't know if you saw any of the vitriol or anything like that.
It's just so annoying because it's come full circle. She had it when she was a teenager, and now she's having it, during her middle life. I don't like saying midlife for people around this age because it doesn't feel like midlife, but her middle life, right? So the idea that a woman is supposed to look the exact same way, or anybody is supposed to look the exact same way that they did when they were a teenager is absolutely ludicrous. It is absolutely and just pure poo-poo that people would put that onus on somebody to remain the same size. Post kids, post going through just like, the changes that you have. You don't know what people do. Some people have to go on some type of steroidal drug for, medication, that sort of thing. Some people might have had surgery and they can't do the same workout that they were doing before. You never know what people are doing. Some people just gain weight naturally. It is not a big deal at all. And I'm looking at this picture of her. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? She looks fine. There's nothing wrong. I mean, I'm a big fan of people that are on the red carpet in tailoring. I will say that I think tailoring is absolutely key. Even when somebody's wearing something that you're like, wow, that is a really ugly dress. But if it's tailored properly, then that can cover a multitude of sins when it comes to the view of a gown, if the tailoring is right. So maybe it could have been tailored a little bit better. I don't think the length worked for her because she's very petite. I will say that. I don't think the length worked. But from a standpoint of the fit, I didn't see anything wrong with it. And I don't see anything wrong with the way her size is. Well, what's wrong with her? Literally, what's wrong with her? Not everybody is going to look like a Jennifer Lopez. And, we know a lot of that is not natural, but she also puts a lot of work into it. I will say that whomever has done the work is, tip top, top notch. And, not everybody's going to look like that. Not everybody's going to look like Halle Berry. And some of that is probably genetics. A lot of it is sometimes hereditary. If they come from smaller boned people, more petite sized people, then that's what happens. So people are just a little bit smaller overall, but she looked fine. She looked absolutely okay. And you will never, ever, ever hear somebody talking about a mask presenting person like this on the red carpet. You will never hear that. They might say, oh, their suit was super ugly, or, oh, yawn, super boring suit. We always see that when masked people come to the Met Gala and they're just having on I'm like, okay, dude, you're wearing a tux at some point. but but you won't ever hear people saying, "Oh, he is just so fat. He needs to just go work out. He needs to do this. He needs to do that." Oh, and if you say that you would say the same thing, you're a liar. You're an absolute liar, because it is not as pervasive as it is for anybody that is femme presenting. It is never as pervasive. And trust me, we know. Erin knows it. I know it. And pretty much any of the other panelists on here know it. We all know it because we've had it happen, I'm sure.
Yeah, and especially in our culture right now, when you have with the internet and you have like the 24-hour cycle and the celebrity cycle, and you have like that instant reaction. And you also have now where a lot of the people that you are critiquing and heavily criticizing are on the same media that you're on, like on the same platform that you're on, and they can see what you are saying. And I'm not saying that this stuff didn't affect her before, because I know it has. And I'm not saying it hasn't affected other people before, because it has for decades, centuries, forever, from the dawn of time, basically. But now with the way we have things, it's so like instantaneous, and people feel like they can be even crueler because there's the anonymity of the internet. And so I think the reaction to her was just as harsh, but it was also felt even harsher because it was like, everybody kind of has that immediately where they are like, nobody's going to know who I am unless they try and dox me, so I can say whatever I want to say. And that happens now with everything, and it happens with body types, and it happens on every side of the aisle, I want to say, because, one thing I see is people go after everybody. This is the first thing they go after is somebody's weight and appearance. No matter what side of the aisle you're on, no matter what side of history you're on, anything like that, no matter if you are very liberal and you're open and you're very welcoming, this is like the first thing people will attack. It's kind of like, it's not the same thing, but it's like also how I've noticed every side now thinks it's okay to use the R word all of a sudden. All of a sudden, it's okay to use that word again. And it's not, people. It is not okay.
Absolutely not.
I don't know when people decided all of a sudden we're going to bring that word back, but it's so disgusting to me how prevalent it is now. And on everybody is saying it. It's like, it's not just like something that's just conservative people are doing.
When did this happen? Like, it's just bonkers.
It's so weird to me. It's so weird. It's like people have just forgotten. And, when you start letting those things slide, it's just a slippery slope to letting other things be okay. So, and I think this is part of that whole problem. I know that was kind of maybe seemed like a tangent, but I think it's all kind of interconnected and related. And so, she is a beautiful person who looks perfectly fine. And I think the other part of it, honestly, I think there's another thing that goes on, especially when you see women do it, because women do it too. It's not just men that are cutting down women. It's women are cutting down women. And I think there's also some jealousy that goes on there too. And so if you feel bad about yourself, you feel like if you cut somebody else down, you can feel better about yourself. So I think that's part of it too, to be honest. So it's just sad to me. And hey, she's in the movie, and which is not a spoiler, and she looks great. She looks beautiful. She looks, she looks healthy. I don't know. I mean, I'm not like a huge fan of hers as like, she's just like there. And I do not, her character drives me nuts on 911. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. When the absolutely stunning, fabulous, my favorite redhead, Connie Britton left, and they brought her in, I was like, okay. I said, what is happening here? What is absolutely happening here? This does not work for me on any level.
And everything you'd possibly imagine happens to her character. Her character, like, everything happens to her. She's always, like, needing to be rescued all the time.
Oh, she's in a tornado. Oh, she fell into a crevice in the earth because she was in an earthquake.
Yes. And I actually will say I do like her and Chimney together because Chimney deserves the whole entire world. He's the best. I love him so much. But her character just gets on my last nerve.
She grinds my gears. And that's part of the reason why I stopped watching that one is because that character, she's whiny. Ugh.
She is very
whiny.
She's very whiny. Yes, very true. It still blows my mind, though, that talk about trust. Her and her real life husband played her husband on 911, her abusive ex-husband. You have to have so much trust in your relationship to do that, I think, because oh my gosh, that character was horrendous.
Yes.
And you have to, I didn't know that until Meg said that on a 911 episode we were recording. I'm like, what? You have to have a very strong relationship.
And you know what? Honestly, on some level, I think it could work if you have that strong relationship because that's the person that you're probably going to be the most comfortable with.
That's true.
To do an intense scene like that. So on some level, yeah. But I mean, if they had like a really bad marriage, then they'd be like, no. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Abort.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to take another quick break. And when we come back, we are just going to celebrate the late, great Malcolm-Jamal Warner. So we'll be right back.
With the Venmo debit card, you can Venmo everything. Your favorite band's merch? You can Venmo this. Or their next show? You can Venmo that. Visit Venmo.me/debit to learn more. The Venmo MasterCard is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. pursuant to license by MasterCard International Incorporated. Card may be used everywhere MasterCard is accepted. Venmo purchase restrictions apply.
Okay, so if you haven't heard, which I'm sure you have, sadly, we lost Malcolm-Jamal Warner recently in a very tragic accident. And he was so young. He was like 54 years old and such an amazing talent. And I think also held such a special place in the hearts of our generation of Gen X and millennials, of course, because of the Cosby Show. But he's done so many other amazing things. So I just wanted to take a moment to celebrate his life. So Tiff, the floor is yours to whatever you want to say about him.
So for child actors, and he was very much a child actor when he began, it is such a difficult thing to grow up on screen in front of the world, especially people don't necessarily understand the incredible cultural impact that the Cosby Show had. And to be a large, humongous, incredibly important part of that family and that show, and to be live during puberty, how hard that would be, but managing to hit the comedic timing every single time, managing to give us vulnerability when he was struggling with his schoolwork. And then we find out later on it's because he's dyslexic. But in a family of overachievers, you have one parent who's a doctor, you have another parent who's an attorney, and they expect certain things from you. You have a sister who's planning on being an attorney, graduated from Princeton until she went for Cocoa Puffs and decided, wilderness store. But the whole idea is this family of uber successful people. And you have this kid who's showing his vulnerability because I have this learning disability that has not been diagnosed. And his joy at finding out that there was a reason why he was having that issue, that just infectious, right? His happiness with things during the show, his silliness with things, his just absolutely fantastic relationship with his friend Cockroach. And I think it was really special that the series finale ended with Theo graduating from college, because how just full circle does that make it? I mean, honestly, from him struggling as this 13-year-old kid to becoming this college graduate from NYU. It's amazing. It's amazing. And I think just Malcolm-Jamal Warner, just as an actor, he just knew how to embody the spirit of fun and enthusiasm and seriousness, because he wasn't just a comedic actor. He also did a lot of dramatic work too. He had a stint on The Resident, which came on Fox. He played, one of the top surgeons in the country. And he managed to play pompous but kind at the same time. He had this really nice mix of that. So I think that was a nice departure from, what we thought of as, oh, that's Theo. That's Theo Huxtable. And you look at his CV, it's just, wow. Wow. It runs the gamut. He was directing, he was producing. He did an awful lot of music videos, a lot of music videos. So the guy was just multifaceted, multi-talented. And it's devastating. It is devastating because we were little, when we first saw him, but it felt like he was our brother. We grew up with him and we saw him, and we were growing at the same time. And when I think I was in middle school. Yeah, I think I was in middle school when the Cosby Show went off. So it felt like my older brother was moving on to, something bigger and better. So it is, that one hit me hard. That one really hit me hard because you just think you're on vacation and you don't come home from a vacation. It's just awful, but incredibly talented, an amazing career. He leaves a legacy, I think, that won't be forgotten. So rest in peace, Malcolm-Jamal Warner. You done good, so you can rest easy.
Yeah. This was one where I remember when I saw that, I was scrolling something on social media and saw it, and it was, again, TMZ, which it still irritates me so much that they're the first ones and that they're always right, because it's like, oh, they're so sleazy. But seeing that, and I'm like, no way. It's one of those where I'm not saying when somebody who's older who dies, that's not tragic as well. But when someone's so young, and especially when they're such a big part of your childhood and you're growing up and you felt like, I don't know, like you were saying, he was like a brother, but, and he's also someone you could have maybe gone to school with, or, well, not to school with because he was a little bit older, but you know what I mean? Someone you would have known, someone who was in your generation and part of your generation. And there's something about it that hits harder than when it's someone older, I think, or someone, that is I was very sad when Betty White died, but at the same time, she had a long life. And this is like a tragedy with a life cut short, and such an amazing life. And you can watch videos of him. I shared one the other day in one of our stories, and of him speaking, and what a kind human being he was, and what a kind heart. And I mean, he stayed at the side of his ex-girlfriend who was dying. When she was dying, he stayed at her side, and all these amazing things he did. And there's also a clip, and if you go and join our Discord channel and the actor channel, I shared it via Instagram, but his comedic timing was amazing. And there's a clip of the time when Denise makes that shirt for him. And
Gordon Gartrell.
It's and it's so funny.
She's like, maybe if you tuck it in, it's tucked into my ankles.
And the way he does that, because the whole scene, because you also had to be thinking everybody else must have been just trying so hard not to crack up.
Vanessa.
Yeah, Vanessa was kind of
Tempest was hiding her face in her hands.
Yeah.
She is just dying laughing. And Lisa Bonet is trying not to laugh, but it's so amazing in that scene.
Yeah, and it's just, and the way he does it, because you have to play that, you have to play that straight. You have to be not funny. You can't try to be funny or it will not work. If he were to come in there and be funny, that scene would fall apart. But because he's doing it so well, and he's a young person doing that, that's a great skill. But it's a scene that even years, decades later, we still remember because of the way he played that scene. Because it was so important that he played it where there was never any humor behind his reaction because he's just pissed and he's annoyed. And, and he's probably also like, I have to live with all these sisters. I'm like the only son. And so it's like that whole thing too that he's also getting across there. And I've been experimenting on, and she's not realizing what's wrong with this outfit too. So that just builds his frustration. And then him going down to his dad, and his dad just just like, yeah, well, it would have been better. I mean, I don't know. It's not great.
It's like it could be better.
Yeah. It's a great scene. And, you know, it's pushed me. I've been very, even though I know we're going to talk about it at some point, but I've been very like, you know, hesitant only because of, unfortunately, the stuff with Bill Cosby. But The Cosby Show was such an important landmark on television and on history. So we probably will be covering it next year for Comedy Month, because I think we just need to cover it anyway. And this just kind of, I know that sounds horrible, but it just kind of pushed me to be like, yes, we definitely should be covering it soon. But so we will definitely have to talk about The Cosby Show soon. And I'm thinking probably next year, so we can celebrate all the great talent that worked on that show. Because, again, you know, it's one of those things where just because someone horrible that you learn later was horrible worked on something doesn't negate the fact that there was so much amazing, beautiful work done on that show. So we will celebrate that. And yeah, losing someone who, like Malcolm-Jamal Warner, was so talented and by all accounts was a great person and a great human being. And it's so heartbreaking and so sad. And can we please stop losing people? Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm fine that Hulk Hogan died. I don't care. He was a disgusting piece of trash. I don't care about that. But can we please stop taking amazing, great people like Malcolm-Jamal Warner? And
great
can we,
young people? Yeah.
Yes. Can we focus on others?
There are so many other people out there. Hint, hint.
Yes. It's like, oh my gosh.
So many.
Yes. But he was an incredible talent, because comedy, we've said before, is so flippin' hard to do. And yes, he did more stuff than that. I'm not saying he didn't. But comedy is like 10 times harder to do than drama. And to do it where it's believable and where you see layers in the character, and you had to watch his character grow after season. I mean, all the way to college and graduating college. And that's a lot of pressure on an actor and on a human being to have their whole adolescence on tape and filmed that way. That is so much pressure. I cannot imagine that, like growing up in front of a camera.
Right.
The pressure of that. So,
and that was like when you had true live in front of the studio audience.
Yes.
You know, I mean, can you imagine just my stage fright would have just been on level. Like, I know I can't act, but just the idea of that makes me break out in a cold sweat. So for him to be like cool, calm, collected, for all of them, you know, to be honest, all the kids, because they were very young.
Oh, yeah.
You know, even, let's see, Sabrina who played Sandra. She was probably in her late, or maybe her early 20s. Monet was in her late teens. You know, then you had Malcolm-Jamal Warner. He was like 13, 14. Tempest Bledsoe, young, like 11. And then, of course, Keisha Knight Pulliam was, what, 6?
Yeah.
Little. So just that, I mean, just think how talented they all were. They were all so talented. And he just managed to really snowball that into so much success as an adult. So just amazing career.
Yeah. And I'm sure his, you know, TV family is probably in deep mourning as well right now. I mean, his real family, of course, too. but on all his shows, in The Resident and everything like that, I mean, it's got to be lots of families in the entertainment industry that are mourning him too. And once again, we talked a few weeks ago about celebrity deaths that hit us the hardest, and Tiff and Carla were on that one. And I want to just remind everybody that there's nothing wrong with mourning somebody that you didn't know. There's nothing wrong with crying about somebody that you didn't know in their death and feeling that. Don't feel shame about that, and don't let anybody belittle you because you are mourning. Because it is, like was mentioned on that. I don't know if it was you or Carla that mentioned that it is like a harder thing because you didn't know them. So you don't have that kind of closure of like being able to really mourn with like the family or anything, which of course we know that it's harder for them. We're not saying it's not harder for them. It's just, it's very real. And this really hit a huge swath of the population really hard because this was a person that we grew up with, that we felt was, part of our culture and part of our lives and part of our like weekly lives, our weekly, came into our living rooms on a weekly basis thing, So, and continued after that too. So, yeah. So may he rest in peace. Yes. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Tiff, for joining me for this week's Pop Culture and Fandom News. I greatly appreciate it. I always love having you on, of course.
An amazing time, per usual.
So if you want to just tell everybody where they can find you.
So I'm here, I'm there, I'm pretty much everywhere, but my handle is at Mischief is Me. I'm in the Discord, chatting it up with all the folks. It's a lot of fun. We hit all kinds of topics, all kinds of discussions. Like we said, Erin was just saying how long it's been since Stranger Things first started from season 1 and now till season 5, which still hasn't dropped, but whatever. And yeah, so come and say hello. So much fun. Pets, politics, distractions, books, pew pew.
Yes, everything you can possibly think of. I just created a new channel, even though I said I wasn't going to create any new channels on there. But I created one where you can share your fandom merch. So you can do that as well. So, yep. And you can find that link in the show notes or on our website. It's a fandomthingpod.com. You know what, though? I just messed up because I haven't given Fergie socials. I apologize, Fergie. I usually mention you first. I know. She'd be
with so much disdain.
She would be so mad at me.
Yep.
But Fergie the dog, who loves horror movies, Abbott Elementary, and true crime, you can follow her on TikTok at Schroeder and Fergs. That's SCHROEDERANDFERGS. It's long, but it's worth it. And once again, like I was starting to mention, you can find links to our Discord. You can find links to all our previous episodes. And you can find links to our Patreon where for as little as $3 a month, you can get bonus content, ad-free episodes, early access to episodes. We are going to be releasing an episode in August discussing the show that occupies half of my brain. The other half is occupied by Interview with the Vampire, the television series. But we're going to discuss season 4 of The Bear, full of spoilers. So go become a Patreon supporter. Plus, coming soon for Horror Trivia Month in October, you don't have to play to win prizes. You just choose your player each week. You get their points. And then we're going to have a first, second, and third place. And guess what? They get prizes. I haven't decided the prizes yet, but become a Patreon supporter today. Once again, at itsafandomthingpod.com. Click the Support Us tab there, or you can click the link in our show notes. And Friday, Tiff will be back to talk about favorite character deaths. Yes, we'll see if any of the characters that made our favorite character intros make our favorite character deaths, because, hey, it could happen. You never know.
It could.
Yeah.
Let's keep them on our toes.
And I'm going to give Tiff an opportunity in the beginning to because she wasn't able to join us last week to mention some of her favorite character intros. So until next time, remember, it's a fandom thing. Black Lives Matter, stop Asian hate, and free Palestine.